I did 3 tiers. I did who I think are absolutely getting drafted, who might get drafted, and then who will be an undrafted free agent.
All right, nice. Good. So you go first, then I'll go after you.
I will say this, after I made this list and really looked through the roster and thought through this, it was a little depressing. I'm a little concerned about what 2025 is going to look like. 2024 has potential to be insanely talented, but 2025, some people are going to have to step up because we're going to lose a lot after this year.
Interesting. So as I thought about it, I had quite the opposite opinion. So this will be good. So you go ahead.
I think, the NFL is all about size and projections and value in multiple positions. And I think if you look at our current senior class and a couple of juniors who will be draft eligible, I think we've got guys who fit that mold. You may have a short list, but honestly, I've got us having 8 guys get drafted, 3 possibly get drafted, and 2 undrafted free agents. I think we have 13 guys next year.
I have 2. Okay, you go first.
So my first one, and these are not obviously in order, but obviously number 1, James Pierce Jr. is going to be in the first 3 picks. Like he just
Agreed.
is. Everybody knows that.
Agreed.
The NFL is a line of scrimmage league, just like the SEC. And if you look through the past, especially when Rodney Garner had his best teams at Georgia, when he had his best teams at Auburn, when guys spend a couple of years with Rodney Garner, they immediately become really attractive to NFL franchises because they typically have played multiple positions. They know they've been taught well, and they are crazy versatile. So I think we will have 3 defensive linemen get drafted this year. I think Amari Thomas absolutely goes in the first 2 rounds. I think Omar Norman Lott will be drafted at some point. And I think Elijah Simmons will be drafted at some point because he's just so freaking big. And I mean, it's the reality of the NFL. Like there are teams who play 3-4 defenses who are like, we just want a massive human being we can sit on that nose. And I think that Elijah Simmons will get drafted because of that.
Well, I will say this. Of any position group on Tennessee's team, if there was a position group that this upcoming year would have multiple people drafted, it would have to be either defensive line or wide receiver. And defensive line is probably the much more likely of those 2. So I totally agree with you on that, for sure.
So again, I think James Pierce Jr. So on the defensive line alone, I think we have 4 guys getting drafted: James Pierce Jr., Amari Thomas, Omar Norman Lott, and Elijah Simmons, just because of their size and versatility. I think Keenan Peely gets drafted. If he comes out and has the season that he probably should have had this past year, he projects really well. He's huge. They don't see a whole lot of 6'3", 220 linebackers who can run sideline to sideline. He can play every linebacker position in the NFL. And, again, they're limited to 50 whatever guys. And so guys who can play multiple positions are extremely valuable. They want those guys. I think they also have a high respect for his defensive coordinator at BYU. He's very well known in NFL circles. And, they will view him as a guy who has been taught well and can come in and contribute right away. Elijah said Peely is also really old. Some franchises value that. If you've been taught well and they know you can come in and play like a veteran right away and they don't have to worry about rookie year issues with you, there's groups that matters to. Offensive line wise, I think we get Javonte Spraggins and John Campbell. It's just hard to find left tackles. John Campbell's a good one. I think he's versatile enough to play either tackle. I think he's also versatile enough to even slide in and play guard. Javonte Spraggins has the value of not only being either guard, but in his time at Tennessee, they've also taught him to snap for an emergency. So If he absolutely had to, he could slide to center. Again, these are the things that matter to NFL teams. And then my last one is Brew McCoy. I think Brew is a prototype NFL huge receiver. Not every team wants that guy, but there's some that absolutely do. And I think he will probably surprise people. If he has a good year this year, I think he could go third or fourth round. So I think all of those guys get drafted. I think Dante Thornton is a big question mark. He could get drafted. He could be an undrafted free agent. I mean, the reality is this: 6'5" dudes that run 4.3 40s go to the NFL. Like, they just do. So, whether it's getting drafted or undrafted free agent, he'll be in one of those buckets. If Dylan Sampson decides to come out, which he will be NFL ready or NFL eligible, I think he could be one of those guys that could be drafted. Probably a late rounder, but again, he in an all-purpose system like, say, San Francisco, who likes guys who can catch the ball out of the backfield, do a lot of different things. He's a good fit for groups like that. And then my undrafted free agents, I think Bryson Eason, again, he's just huge.
Agreed.
Like, NFL teams like huge dudes that have played for Rodney Garner. I think Cooper Mays is going to be an undrafted free agent just because of his background and his family, and the fact that he is a competitive center. And then I'm blanking. There's one more.
Well, I totally agree with you on Cooper Mays. And honestly, that was what frustrates me the most, because for some reason, people look at his size and they're like, no, he can't play. Dude has held his own and then some against the best defensive lineman in the SEC. I mean, think about the dude for Georgia 2 years ago, that John Normus dude. Cooper Mays held his own against that guy. So, I mean, I don't get, I mean, at some point, tape has to matter, not the measurables, not the projectables. Tape has to matter. And Cooper Mays is a dominant offensive lineman. And so that's what bothers me. I don't think he'll be drafted either, which I think is crazy. I think it's insane. He will 100% get signed as an undrafted free agent. And I will not be shocked at all if he makes a squad somewhere, because he's that good.
Yeah. Oh, I remember who the 13th was. And now that I think it in my head again, I'm not going to say it. So I'll stick with 12. So I think we're going to have 8 get drafted. I think we have 2 maybes that could get drafted. And the 2 maybes, if they don't, one will come back. The other one will be an undrafted free agent. And then Cooper Mays and Bryson Eason as undrafted free agents also.
I 100% agree that Bryson Eason will be an undrafted free agent. And that dude, he's at least going to make a practice squad somewhere. He has developed his game so much. I mean, he is a success story. And that goes to what Eric said here. Eric commented, he said, "What's up, Evan and Rustin? What about all our Vols getting drafted NFL teams? It's awesome. I was surprised some of them got drafted, but it shows you Coach Heupel and staff are developing." I think Bryson Eason is the textbook example of how they've developed players. As far as next year goes, I have 2 people getting drafted, and that is James Pierce Jr. and Omari Thomas. I know it sounds ridiculous to say, but I think Omari Thomas, his performance in the orange and white game helped his draft stock. Specifically, one play, because it just so happened that they were interviewing Josh Dobbs on the sideline, and Omari Thomas ran down Deshaun Bishop. As Deshaun Bishop was breaking away down the field, Omari Thomas ran him down. The linebackers didn't run him down. The defensive backs didn't run him down. The interior defensive lineman ran him down. That one play, they'll be sending that to every NFL team in the country. Like, look at what this guy did. That was impressive. That was an impressive play. And so people say, spring games don't matter. Well, I'll tell you what, that one play right there mattered for Omari Thomas for sure. I think he's going to have the type of year that people aren't going to have a choice. They're going to have to take him. They're going to have to draft him. And once again, development under Rodney Garner. So the two guys I think for sure get drafted are James Pierce Jr. and Amari Thomas. Now, I think there's a bunch of maybes. And I think the highest maybe on the list is Brew McCoy, because clearly, he has to prove that he can play again. You know, it's been a long time since he's been on the field. He wasn't on the field this spring. He's still rehabbing. He has to prove that he's 100%. And if he can do that, and if he shows that he's back to the way he was beforehand, that he's back to how he was playing in 2022, then yeah, I think a late round draft pick, somebody takes him in a late round. Tony agreed. Tony said if Bruce healthy, he gets drafted, I believe. I think he would be an excellent steals for someone late in the draft, because I think the thing that matters the most about him is his catch radius. If it's in the same zip code, he's going to catch it. And he's so daggum strong when he's got the ball in his hands. He can take a hit over the middle and hang on to the ball, i.e. Alabama 2022 last drive of the game. The dude can catch the ball. And so if he's healthy and he proves that he's back to his old self, then yes, I think at a late round he could get drafted, simply because you want receivers who will catch it, and he's one of them. Now, as far as all the maybes go, I would love to say right now that Keenan Peely is going to be drafted. I would love to say that. The problem is we have no clue because we hadn't seen him play. He played one game, and I don't think he finished the game in that one game. But last year against Virginia, we saw him play one time. Very first game of the season. I mean, I don't know. I hope by this point, 7 months from now, we're like, Keenan Peely may be the best linebacker in the country. I hope we're saying that. He's certainly built like one of the best linebackers in the country. That dude's chest and shoulders, it's like better than Tarzan. I mean, like, it's just like, it's crazy how strong he is through his upper body. So I hope we're saying that he's going to be drafted. Dante Thornton Jr., I think, is a very big maybe. He has kind of been the tale of two cities. When the beginning of last year, it was like, dude, you just have to catch the ball, man. Like, just catch it. I vividly remember when we played UTSA, Nico came in the game. It was Nico's first pass of the game. He threw a bullet straight to Dante Thornton. I mean, all he had to do is just turn around and catch it. It was a quick hitch route. Dante, the ball hit him literally right in the hands, right in the chest, and he dropped it. Then you've got the Dante Thornton of the last two games that he played before he got hurt, and he was a showstopper. Prime example, the very last catch he made before he got hurt at Missouri, the play that he got hurt on, it was an unbelievable touchdown catch. If that's the Dante Thornton that we see, yeah, he has a really good shot at being drafted, because like you said, 6'5" dudes that can run. Yeah, there's a spot for you out there. You just got to catch it. That's all you got to do. I already mentioned my thoughts on Cooper Mays. I think it's a crying shame that he won't get drafted. But I do think he'll be an undrafted free agent, and he's still going to make a team anyway because he's that good. John Campbell, I think, is a maybe. I think that when he blocked the dude into the tunnel at the Titan Stadium last year, I think that helps him. I think the fact that he played left tackle last year and he's going to play right tackle this year, I think that helps him because it shows versatility and where he can play. But he's going to have a really good year to get drafted. Javonte Spraggins. I would love to see him and John Campbell both get drafted. I don't know if they will. Javontes, I think you made a really good point when you said that not only has he played guard, but he's played left guard and right guard, and he's also played center. So all three interior line positions he's played. That's very valuable, and I think that really helps him. Mr. Jones said Dalton Connect. Maybe not in football. Maybe not. Hinton Dinger said Cooper to the Patriots. I'd love to see that. I mean, he's going to make a team wherever he goes. And then Omar Norman Lott. I think he's a maybe. I think he has to show a whole lot this year to get drafted. I think he has to show maturity this year to get drafted. Could it happen? For sure. Do I think it's a guarantee at this point? No, I don't. I'm going to throw another name out there that you didn't mention. Chris Brazzell. I think depending on what kind of year he has this year, he might try to test the waters and then he ultimately comes back. But he is draft eligible after this year. I don't think he will. I don't think he'll go to the draft because his brother is coming to Tennessee next year. And I think he will stay at Tennessee for one more year after this year, just so his family can see him and his brother play on the same team. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Do I think Dylan might declare? I do. Should Dylan declare? Not even a little bit. If there is anything that this draft showed people, it's that running backs are very, very undervalued in the NFL right now. If he can make halfway decent money in NIL to returning for another season, I think it would very much behoove him to do so. The only thing that might not align with that is that means he has more wear and tear on him in college than it does in the pros. I think that was one thing that Jalen Wright was benefiting him. Not a whole lot of wear and tear. And
I don't know that it's that they don't value. Like I don't think this draft is a good indicator of how much they value running backs in the NFL. I think they value young running backs actually higher than old running backs because
I agree.
They want to get them and get as much out of them as they can before they get to the second contract. So they want those first 3 years to get them as many touches and plays as possible so they can showcase them so that someone else will sign them in year 4 so that franchise doesn't have to pick up a big price tag unless unless they want to. That's one reason why I think Dylan Sampson might actually do well. I mean, look at Jalen Wright. He went in the 4th round. He got $1 million a year for 4 years or 3 years and a $775,000 signing bonus. You know, there ain't no NIL program that's going to get anywhere near that. So, you know, they're going to have to they're going to have to prove to Dylan Sampson that he can't go in the first 5 rounds. If he can go in the first 5 rounds, he's going to make good money and he needs to do it.
Tony said Dylan Sampson's not good at pass blocking. That'll hurt him. He has to get better at that this year. I mean, just to play at Tennessee, he's got to get better at it.
He does, but you know, the NFL, he's not that kind of running back. He's a third down back that they use for, you know, screen game, quick pass game, quick hitter off the draw. You know, he's not. They're not going to ask him to pass pro. They're going to ask him to go be a threat.
So, when I looked at the number of people who are for sure getting drafted this year, I agree with you. There's a lot of people that we're going to lose that won't get drafted or are maybes about getting drafted. But there's a whole bunch of people that are leaving after this year, a whole bunch, and that's concerning. As far as the amount of people who will probably definitely get drafted, I think that number actually goes up the following year because you got Nico, Chris Brazzell will definitely get drafted the next year. Arion Carter will be draft eligible the following year. David Hobbs will be draft eligible the following year. If he has a really good season this year and next year, he's gone, in my opinion. Lance Hurd will be draft eligible the next year. So you got those 5 dudes right there. And then Dylan Sampson, for sure, if he stays, will be drafted that year. So that's 6 guys. So my number goes from 2 to 6 the next year after that. But there's less people that are going to be undrafted free agents and stuff that next year because the team is going to be so young.
Well, and the one thing that we can't quantify, whether they go in the draft or undrafted free agent, whatever, we're going to lose 13 key contributors after this year.
Absolutely.
So in my mind, that means we have 13 spots in the portal. I don't see them backfilling those with high school kids. I think they've learned their lesson that high school kids aren't going to help you right away. And you've got to constantly be in the portal. So I think next year we're going to be big players in the transfer portal.